Let's go to the phone and bring in Darren Heitner. Again, he's a sports law professor from the University of Florida to talk about the Tom Brady situation. And Darren, or should I call you Dr. Heitner?
Yeah, let's do it.
Please never, ever call me Dr. Heitner.
No? Okay. Darren, tell me, if Tom Brady does bring this thing to federal court, how do you see this playing out?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And what's interesting is that the NFL has already taken it to federal court in New York. And so what will probably happen is Brady may try to bring it in Minnesota, where has been very friendly to players in the past.
Yeah.
But there's something called the first filed rule, which means that if the parties and issues are the same, most likely it will be held in the jurisdiction where it was first filed, which is a huge detriment to Brady. So how it will probably play out is how most issues concerning vacating an arbitration award play out. The party seeking to get rid of that award loses. And so here, especially if Brady's trying to get back to the first 4 games of the season, it's extremely unlikely that he prevails. He'll have to get a preliminary injunction and prove irreparable harm. What that means is that he can't be compensated by monetary damages. But it's clear what he gets by way of a paycheck for those 4 games. I don't see him coming back for the first 4. If anything, it'll go all the way through trial, it'll get overturned, and he'll get his money back.
Darren, it's Paige, and I hope you didn't hear what I said about me being from the University of Tennessee and that we don't have as many good law professors as obviously University of Florida does, but we appreciate you being here.
You got better quarterbacks than the University of Florida.
There's jealousy between the orange schools. You know, it's just a case of SEC bias there. I would ask you this, though. Given the problems that I think Brady would have because the Players Association and the NFL had negotiated binding arbitration. He has had arbitration. Federal judges really don't want to deal with cases that have already been arbitrated, do they? Or am I reading that really wrong, being a volunteer?
No, I'm a big fan of the SEC, whether you went to Georgia or Tennessee, but you're completely correct. The issue that Brady and any other NFL player would have is that under the most recent negotiated collective bargaining agreement, the players accepted this procedure that allows Roger Goodell to basically be judge, jury, and appellate officer. So here you have Goodell affirming his prior decision, and unless Brady is able to show that the decision was procured by some corruption or fraud, etc., I just don't see him being able to convince a court that it should step in to an agreement that was made between the players and the league voluntarily. No one forced the players to agree to the terms of that collective bargaining agreement, and for them to now cry foul is just wrong. They should have dealt with it at the right time years ago, and now they're stuck with an agreement that really does not play to their favor.
Darren, you talk about a court deciding. When you say that, are you talking about a jury or are you talking about simply a judge? And in which case does Brady have the advantage?
Well, we're most likely talking about a judge looking at the arbitration process itself and determining whether there was some sort of bias or if the arbitrator here, Goodell, went beyond his scope, exceeded his powers. It's very unlikely that a petition to confirm or vacate an arbitration award would ever go to a jury. But that said, I don't think that either way it's going to play to Brady's advantage. And if it goes to a jury, you're going to have individuals most likely in the state of New York, in particular in Manhattan, and I don't think there's many Patriots fans there.
Yeah, we've talked about it. The Patriots have become the antichrist of the NFL, replacing the Oakland Raiders. Is it possible, though, that an injunction could be granted and the decision not be overturned but delayed long enough for Brady to get through the season without being suspended?
Like, anything is possible, but he has to not only prove, again, irreparable harm, that he can't be compensated for through money for those 4 games. He also has to actually show a likelihood of success on the merits, that if it goes through to trial, it's likely that he's going to win. And again, he's up against a huge, huge obstacle in the fact that courts just don't like to interfere with arbitration awards, especially when the parties clearly agree that that is the procedure that will take place. So not only do we have to deal with that irreparable harm issue, but also the fact that I don't see a court believing Brady really has a strong likelihood of success on the merits. So I think he's sitting out those 4 games.
Hey, Darren, does Tom Brady have a libel suit here? Can he sue the NFL for libel? From what I understand, some of the ways he's been hurt throughout all this is he and Giselle tried to join a country club, but they turned him down because of all that was going on with Deflategate. Is there a libel suit here possibly?
Well, anyone can sue another party for pretty much any cause of action. I, again, don't see a libel suit being successful. Here, Tom Brady is a public figure. He has to show that the NFL either knew of the truth and used and basically still took its action, or recklessly disregarded the truth, knew that it was acting on false information or recklessly disregarded the truth. And then, furthermore, has to show that there was some sort of actual malice. I mean, looking through the final decision, it's not as though the NFL asked for Tom Brady to actually turn over the phone that was replaced or destroyed, however you want to describe it. But they were asking for specific text messages. And knowing that those text messages were highly relevant, very important information, important evidence in an ongoing investigation, Tom Brady still said, heck with it. I'm going to get rid of my phone. Forget about the fact that I'm embroiled in this issue where I could possibly lose 4 games, 4 paychecks. So I think it's very difficult that Tom Brady would prevail on a libel claim or any claim related to defamation.
Darren, as an observer with a great law background from a distance, are you observing this with fascination, fatigue, interest,
Incredulity?
total no? I mean, how do you personally, given your background, how are you looking at this? With humor or with total seriousness, or how?
Well, what's interesting is, as a lawyer involved in a lot of sports-related issues, I typically do take the position of the athlete or the agent. And so I look at this issue probably with bias toward Brady and his agent and looking at it in the first instance. And I just see the facts. I look at the response made by Brady and his agent not even really focusing on the destroying of evidence, et cetera. And I just don't think that there are necessarily clear hands here. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for them to vacate the decision overall. The injunction is even more unlikely. And look, the NFL was brilliant. It went right after submitting that final decision and in a tactical manner right away rushed to the courts in Manhattan and filed a petition to confirm, knowing that Brady was going to do the same thing and trying to vacate. So, look, I love it when players win. I typically take their side. I just can't wrap my head around what the theory is for Brady to prevail in this instance.
So, preparing before the federal judge, based on what you've just told me, you'd rather be defending the NFL than Brady?
I'll take either side. I mean, I can definitely make an argument on the other side if I'm getting paid by Brady. But yeah, from the outside looking in, I'd much rather represent the NFL in this particular case.
Hey, Darren, really appreciate your time. That's great stuff. And do you have a Twitter account?
I do. It's at Darren Heitner. That's Heitner.
All right, beautiful. Well, thank you very much.
Hope you'll join us again. We enjoyed spending time with you.
Take care.
Thanks, Darren. Darren Heitner, he's a sports law professor at the University of Florida. And that segment was sponsored by the Blake Street Tavern. They have 3 bars under one roof, including the Underground Social, where you can go downstairs, play all those games like Pop a Shot, like we have, skee ball, all that stuff. They've got 60 HD TVs. They are the home of the Tottenham Hotspurs. Well, Tottenham's in town. They had a big party there last night. So if you're a soccer lover, college football, NFL, they've got it all on the big screens, okay? All of them, 60 HD TVs. It's also got the best sports bar food in town, and that was reconfirmed today. I ate lunch there today. So go to the Blake Street Tavern. They're at 23rd and Blake, just a couple of blocks north of Coors Field.